Last time we saw Bullwinkle, he had just set the art world on its ear with a series of paintings done in whitewash.
I call this one Vanilla Ice Cream Spilled on a White Sheet #2.
What Bullwinkle didn't know was that underneath 10 of his paintings were 10 old masters recently filched from a Paris art museum by,
Let me guess. Picasso J. Flom?
No.
Toulouse-Lachnook?
No.
Then it must be Boris Badenov.
The man you love to hate.
You said it.
True, Boris was the culprit, but he didn't have the paintings. Instead, he had a will signed by Bullwinkle, which left the paintings to Boris if anything should happen to him.
And it just might.
All unaware of his danger, Bullwinkle was busy turning out more and more whitewash canvases.
What title do I put on this one?
Call it Man Eating a Sandwich in a White Room.
Well, I see the white room, but where's the sandwich?
The man ate it.
Then where's the man?
Well, you don't expect him to hang around after he ate the sandwich, do you?
No.
That's the trouble. You people never understand us artists.
Bullwinkle, why don't you use your head?
It's easier with a brush.
Meanwhile, the two villains had just planted several sticks of dynamite under the cottage and lit the fuse.
You sure there's enough there, Boris?
Enough. Baby, when this stuff goes off, all we got left is 1 pair antlers and 200 pounds of moose burger.
But, Boris, if we blow up Moose, we blow up the paintings, too.
Good heavens!
Boris, you said heavens.
What can I do? They won't let me plug the competition.
Well, now what?
Easy. We just take the paintings before the stuff goes off. But we gotta be awful quick.
Dashing into the house, the pair quickly ran to Bullwinkle's studio.
Remember me, boys? Cerulean Blue, the world-famous art collector?
Sure, what can we do for you, Mr. Blue?
I've decided to raise my offer for the 10 paintings.
Swell!
I now offer $25,000 apiece.
Wowee, as they say in the comics.
Only one thing.
Yeah?
Could I take them outside and look at them in the light?
Why, of course. Which 10 paintings did you want?
Which 10?
Yeah, I just finished number 35. Composition with whipped cream and snowballs.
Yeah, but where's the first 10 you painted?
In the pile there somewhere.
Boris, the dynamite will blow up the old masters.
I know. Tell you what, I'll buy the whole bunch.
35 of them?
At 25 thou apiece?
Right. Only one thing. Let's take them outside and look at them in the light.
And within just a few seconds, everybody was outside the house with the paintings.
Phew, that was close. These old masters are worth millions.
Funny, I only count 34 paintings here.
What?
Boris, it's only one painting.
But that one might be the Mona Lisa. I'll get it.
Hokey smoke, what happened?
Maybe the pilot light went out on your stove, darling.
We don't have a pilot light.
No.
We don't have a stove either.
Well, there you see.
Not quite.
Mr. Blue, you all right?
Hey, I was wrong. There's 35 here after all.
Yeah, that's certainly a good joke on you.
And small wonder that Boris laughed, for somewhere in the pile of paintings he had bought were the 10 old masters worth millions of dollars.
And what's more, we're taking the next submarine back to Pennsylvania.
You don't mean... But you're the bad guy.
So?
Well, I'd have bet $1 million you wouldn't win.
Put up or shut up.
I'll shut up. But be with us for our next episode, Dollars to Donuts, or The Wonderful World of Cruller.
A very long time ago, in a far-off land to the east, there lived a very rich and powerful sultan. Every year, on his birthday, the people flocked to his palace with gifts. Now, as it happened, a young rug salesman from another land who did not know of this custom chanced to come into the town that day in hopes of selling his rug. As he passed the palace, it was naturally thought that he was just another peasant bearing a gift to the sultan, and was quickly hustled inside.
Ah, what have we here? A rug. How nice.
But being a second-hand rug, it had a hole in it, and when the sultan saw this, he was furious.
By the beard of my mother-in-law, how dare you bring me a rug with a hole into it?
Well, it's a small hole, Bubby, just a little teeny one, but if it bothers you, I can let you have it for half price. What do you say?
At this, the Sultan flew into such a rage that he was unable to speak. This unfortunate circumstance had placed the young man's life in serious danger, and realizing his mistake...
What a really nice highness you are. You certainly can't take a joke.
Joke?
Well, of course, Bubby. As a gift, this is much more than just a small rug with a large hole in it. You knew that all the time, of course.
I did?
Yes, of course you did.
Oh, yeah,
Yes.
I did. Of course. What is it?
Get this, Big Daddy. It's a flying carpet.
Say, this is the finest gift I've ever received. And you know, I'm so pleased that I'm going to reward you handsomely. But first, I'm going to fly my carpet.
The young lad, of course, knew that the old rug would not fly, but before he could stop him, the Sultan ran to the highest wall of the palace, sat on the rug, and pushed himself over the side.
So, treacherous one, a flying carpet, eh?
The unfortunate lad was quickly seized and thrown into the palace dungeon. It was that afternoon that the Sultan's beautiful daughter, while picking flowers in the garden, happened to look in through the bars of cell 32 and saw the young man.
My, what a handsome you are. What are you in for?
A very short time, sweetie. Tomorrow I get beheaded, like Chop, you know, because I didn't bring your father a flying carpet.
If I help you escape, you could find a flying carpet and make Daddy happy so we could be married. Am I rushing things?
I thought you'd never ask, baby. What's the fiendish plan?
Wasting no time, the princess hurried to the royal kitchen where she baked a cake with a pick in it. Taking it to the waiting lad, he was able to eat the cake and dig himself out of the dungeon in less than an hour. Running into the city, he entered the first rug shop he saw.
Quick, Yasha, give me a flying carpet.
What color?
How about blue?
We got no blue ones.
All right, give me a red one.
No, we got no red ones either. In fact, we don't have any flying carpets at all.
Why didn't you say so?
You didn't ask me. How about a throw rug?
The lad went to every rug shop he could find. He found one carpet that could crawl, two that could bounce, another that could swim, but not a single one that could fly. Finally, in a last desperate effort, he went to a fortune teller.
I gaze into my crystal ball.
You do that.
I see that you will meet a tall, dark stranger with an axe.
That I already know. But can you tell me, please, where can I find the flying carpet?
What color?
Never mind what color. Just one that flies like Skysville.
Here, try this one.
Okay. Up, up, and away. Fly, carpet, fly.
But alas, nothing happened.
What are you, a spy from Hanna-Barbera? This thing won't fly.
Of course not. You don't believe in that magic jazz, do you? We've got to put a little something in it to make it fly.
Something like what?
Like this.
So saying, the fortune teller held forth a large jar of buzzing bees.
Bumbling bees?
Of course. Just sew them into the lining of the carpet, and when they fly, the carpet will fly. Simple.
The lad was not too sure, but he had no choice, for his time was running out. Taking the carpet and the jar of bees, he raced back to the palace and returned to his cell. There he spent the rest of the night sewing bees into the lining of the carpet. And when he was taken before the Sultan...
Father, wait! You cannot doom him!
You want to bet?
But he now has a flying carpet that will really fly with you. You do, don't you?
I certainly hope so, baby.
Let me see.
Hoping for the best, the lad released the carpet. When the bees flew, so did the carpet. Upon seeing this, the Sultan was so delighted that he immediately gave the lad his freedom. Thus, the young man and the princess were soon married and, of course, lived happily ever after. The Sultan flew on his carpet every day, and even though the bees in the lining stung him time and time again, he was happy too.
Ooh! Ouch! Ooh! Like ow!
After all, the carpet was a gift, and even the Sultan knew that the bee stings in life are free. Ooh, ooh, ooh.
And now for all you knowledge seekers, here's Mr. Know-It-All.
Hi there! Today's subject is how to open a jar of pickles. The simplest way to open a jar of pickles is to unscrew the lid, turning gently from left to right. Oh! If that doesn't work, turn it right to left. Oh! Well, there are other ways of opening it. Putting the jar under hot water will usually do the trick. And if you happen to be in Yellowstone Park, the best hot water comes up out of Old Faithful, the geyser. You place the jar right over the hole, taking care to be well clear before the geyser goes. When you get out of the hospital, you take a slightly different approach.
I got the hammer, Mr. Know-It-All.
Splendid, splendid. When the lid is tapped, it is certain to loosen. Now, when I nod my head, you hit it with the hammer.
Right, Bullwinkle. Huh?
I think I made that perfectly clear. I said, when I nod my head, hit it with the hammer.
If you say so.
Okay. I nod thusly and... If everything else fails, we climb to an altitude of 5,000 feet and hurl the jar and ourselves earthward. Pocahontas! But if you really want to open a jar of pickles...
Wait a minute, Mr. Know-It-All. That isn't a jar of pickles. That's a jar of jelly.
No wonder I couldn't open it. It's jammed.
Sherman, when a person yells caramba and cries, what is he doing?
Peeling Spanish onions?
No, he's watching a bullfight.
Is that what we're going to do, Mr. Peabody?
Well, we're not going to peel Spanish onions. Following my instructions, Sherman set the Wayback Machine for Cadiz, Spain in the year 1833. Before you could say ole, we were sitting inside a huge arena.
Here comes the matador, Mr. Peabody.
And out strode a handsome fellow bedecked in traditional bullfighting garb. A roar went up from the vast throng as a gate at the far end of the arena swung open, and out trotted a ferocious-looking bull. Dog.
That's not a bull.
We watched in utter dismay as the matador took a stick, threw it, and the bulldog retrieved it. This went on for an hour and a half, and then Sherman brought something to my attention.
You're asleep, Mr. Peabody.
Yes, so was the crowd in the arena. Leaving our seats, we quickly cornered the manager of the establishment.
So, senor, you don't think fetching the stick should be Spain's national sport?
I think bullfighting would be far more colorful.
That's true, but there is only one bull in this neck of the woods, and he won't come near this arena.
Lend me the services of your bravest matador, and we'll bring him back. Well, his bravest matador turned out to be one Porfirio Garbanza.
You leave it to me, senor. I will catch that bull.
With a butterfly net?
We left the net behind and should have done the same thing with Porfirio, for just on the outskirts of Cadiz...
There's the bull, Mr. Peabody, standing in the road.
And one I might add, he has his dander up.
Then I will let his dandruff down.
Before I could stop him, Porfirio, or Porfirio, which I somehow prefer, approached the creature and told him off.
Senor Bull, it is for you to come into the arena and make with the bull fight.
Now, the bull was in a bad humor as it was, but when Porfirio chose that moment to pull out his red hanky... As the bull sped off into the distance, we turned to Porfirio.
There's some bull thrower, eh?
Now we've got an even longer way to bring him back.
40 miles from Cadiz, we spotted our quarry standing in a meadow.
This time I get him for sure.
Yes, but this time keep the hanky in your trousers, please. And use subterfuge. Reason with him. Pretend he's your best friend.
Hello, Bull. Where's the 2 pesos you owe me? Tell you what, you pay me the money and I buy you a pair of socks just like these ones I got on.
And, of course, the socks he had on were red.
Well, you scared him off again, Mr. Garbanza.
Why don't we try catching a jackass?
We already have one, senor. It took us 3 hours to catch up with the bull, and this time he was standing in the shade of a large tree.
This time I take off the red socks and throw the red hanky away.
We made him go even further.
But I could catch cold.
Just so long as you catch the bull.
Buenos dias, Bull. What's new? Say, how about a nice piece of fruit? Here, have an apple.
You guessed it. The apple was red. As the sun sank over the hills, so did our bull. 1 week later, some 400 miles from Cadiz, we discovered the bull sitting on the railroad tracks.
If he don't get off there, he's going to get hit by the Onion Pacific.
Sure enough, around the bend and bearing down hard came a fast freight train. Quick, Sherman, Porfirio, hop aboard as the train passes.
But what about the bull?
As I had surmised, the cowcatcher in front of the engine swept up the bull and carried him along.
Well, what do you know? The bully is on his way back to Cadiz.
Well, not for long he wasn't. We had the great misfortune to be stopped by a red light and... And?
Well, there he goes, heading into the city of Seville.
I told Sherman and Porfirio to go into Seville and wait for me while I stayed on the freight train and went back to Cadiz. There, in one of the larger gambling casinos...
21 red again. You keep this up, you are going to break the bank.
By applying calculus, Hector's arithmetic, and PS39 multiplication, I had amassed a fortune in no time.
One more win and you win the city of Cadiz.
Which, of course, was exactly what I was after. 21 red again.
Why not 21 black?
Well, it would simply ruin the color scheme of this whole story. Needless to say, 21 red came up and I owned the city.
Well, Senor Peabody, now that you own my Jarena, what are you going to do with it?
I'll give everything back to the city and your arena back to you if you move it to Seville.
You got a deal.
And thus, instead of the bull coming to the arena came to the bull. Spain, and Seville in particular, had its first bullfight.
Oh, my gosh, Mr. Peabody, look, that matador in the arena. It's a lady.
Yes, her name is Barbara. Not only the first female bullfighter, but the best of them all.
I never heard of her.
You have never heard of the Barbara of Seville?
Boris and Natasha had just bought 35 of Bullwinkle's whitewash paintings,
including the 10 with old masterpieces under the whitewash.
And now the villains are waiting for the next Pottsylvanian submarine to come up on the outskirts of Pigeon River.
There it is now, Boris.
That's one thing you can say about our fearless leader. He made the submarines run on time.
But Bullwinkle's brush and bucket was still busy night and day.
What is it, Bullwinkle?
That's obvious, Rock. It's Santa Claus arriving in a terrible blizzard.
I should have known.
Finally, even the Paris Museum, which had lost the 10 old masters, had to change its mind.
You mean we are going to replace them with modern paintings?
Marcel, we must move with the times.
Fui!
And besides, the moose gave them to us for nothing.
Ooh, they're beautiful.
And so 10 of Bullwinkle's paintings were hung in the spots vacated by the stolen old masters. Meanwhile, many miles away in the grim little country of Pottsylvania...
Ah, it's good to breathe the air of Pottsylvania, Natasha.
That pungent odor.
Yes, they must be burning books in the public square again. But we digress. We got to sell this $1 million bunch of old masters.
Who to, Boris?
Natasha, there's only one man in Pottsylvania who has money.
You mean our fearless leader?
Yes, that greedy, money-grabbing, penny-pinching...
Go on, Badenov.
Thrifty, industrious, frugal, level-headed...
Enough!
Why, it's fearless leader!
Badenov, you are a groveling bootlicker.
But I...
Fortunately for you, I like groveling bootlickers.
I'm glad.
What do you have there?
10 disguised old masters worth $2 million. But for you...
For me? Thank you, Badenov.
Thank you. Thank you. That's what I get. Thank you.
Of course not. Thank you very much.
Oh, boy.
Now, what do you say?
You're welcome.
Not only that, but when fearless leader cleaned the whitewash off...
Schweinhund! These aren't old masters. These are plain canvas. Arrest him.
Darling, is there anything I can do?
Yes. Shut up, you mouth!
Meanwhile, back in Frostbite Falls...
But why didn't you give Mr. Blue the first 10 paintings?
Well, he was such a nice feller, I thought he'd like 10 brand new ones.
Well, what happened to the first ones?
I gave them to that Paris museum.
And sure enough, when these paintings were cleaned...
Sacre bleu, the masterpieces are back again.
It's a wonder. It's a miracle. It's about time.
Well, it looked as if Bullwinkle really had it made as an artist until a terrible thing happened.
That's right, Mr. Moose. We're plumb out of whitewash.
Oh, dear. I need 4,000 gallons of it.
We'll have it in on Monday.
But that was too late, for over the weekend, another artist appeared on the scene to catch the eye of the art world.
This is Jackson Plop.
Yes, Jackson Plop, painted with a mixture of pablum and chicken gizzards.
Well, there's one thing I've got to say about this boy's work. It's got guts.
Gee, Rock, I can't sell a painting these days.
Yeah, and we're stuck with 4,000 gallons of whitewash. Wait a minute, where is all the whitewash?
I sold it.
Sold it? Who to?
To them fellers who investigate payola.
4,000 gallons of whitewash?
Believe me, to them, it's only a drop in the bucket.
And so we reach another happy ending where... Oh, now, wait a minute. This isn't a happy ending.
Sure it is. Look, I'm smiling.
Oh, good. Okay. Happy ending.